Welcome, good evening. Thanks for coming all tonight. This is another exciting night where we're playing Relics of War with three of the most amazing players this side that have ever come on Creation. I was going to say this side of the Mississippi, but I really don't know. So I'm just going to say
well,
this
okay,
side
yeah,
of the,
maybe
this
your
side
of the
camera.
Mississippi.
I like that because, you know, we really don't know which side I'm on. Welcome. Thanks for coming tonight to watch Relics of War with Seth, with Kitty, with Aria, and I'll be your DM tonight, Sean Doherty. I'm looking forward to picking up where we left off last week. I'm going to ask all my players to say hi real quick to the audience. Just say each one of you. Aria, start off with you. We'll go with the ladies, then we'll go across to Seth, and we'll say hi through Kitty, and then we're going to jump right into tonight's game.
Howdy, everyone. Good to be here. Really looking forward to whatever comes after frying a battle centipede.
The battlepede from last week was a real blast, I'll tell you. And when I say blast, I mean like a witch bolt blast. I take a plot point. She understood what I was going after there. Seth, how about you? Say hi to everybody.
Hi, hello. Hopefully I can see a dagger this time.
See a dagger?
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm missing that. What does that mean for our people that are just tuning in?
I was in a weapon shop and I failed to find a dagger in it.
Oh, God, I forgot. Wasn't that like a botch roll or something really?
Yeah.
I guess.
Well, I'm sure you'll do better this time. That's okay.
Sure.
He had them obviously just stored away. Kitty, say hi to everybody.
Hi. I'm looking forward to being able to maybe visit some of our lovely, for lack of a better term off the top of my head, cops' houses eventually and acquiring some of their goods.
The cops' houses.
I can't think of the guy who's above the general or whoever's above the person that we've been with.
I think you mean the sergeant. Sergeant of the watch.
Iounia?
Is he the one who's above the guy we're currently with? I thought the guy we were with was sergeant.
No, he's a private.
Oh, he's a private. Yeah. Okay, I'm looking forward to maybe eventually, even if it's not this session, just getting to Sergeant Iouna's house.
Yeah, that would be Fandelver? Oh, Eoman. Eoman. So that
Whoever
would be,
it is.
Yep, Sergeant Eoman and whatnot. And of course you have Watchman or Private Cavil who's with you at the moment, whatnot, helping you out. So I want to thank everybody. And as I said, I am DM Sean. We're going to get right into this. Where we left off last week was with our players, our characters, having just killed a relic of the war before, made by House Cannith. This battlepede was being used by Yek the Grin, this individual of dubious background who they believe had committed a murder and had ended up rolling them into it. During their search, they tracked down Yek, and once they had Yek fully under their control, Yek smiled in a wolfish way and released a battlepede that let out carnage in the lightning realm until our heroes destroyed it and kept Yek. The Watchman had taken Yek away at this point, and our heroes celebrated in the bar room where drinks were paid for by Private Cavil, a young watchman who seemed to be at the lower end, almost a kicking boy for Sergeant Eoman. Sorry. Now you got me doing it. For Sergeant Eoman. Sergeant Eoman, who seems to have very little love and even less patience, had to begrudgingly acknowledge what was happening when he heard Cavil's call. So other watchmen were sent, and eventually Yek was dragged off, and our characters were left to enjoy an evening's respite. Tell everybody where you decided to rest.
Oh, what was the name of the place? I think that's the one thing I didn't write down.
We rested at a local inn.
I like it.
I didn't write down the name, though.
You who are so familiar with the city may now have an opportunity as a player to rewrite history. Where did you take them to? And this will be canon.
Oh, dear.
Whatever came before didn't exist.
I took everybody to. I think it was somewhere in like, because I know there was the upper class when we were talking about the lower class, somewhere in the middle class where we could all have rooms with locks on them, and that was all Lythandr cared about, was that whatever he had, he could keep behind locked doors. And after that, the name didn't matter.
So now this isn't the same place where you guys all shared one room before.
No.
Okay.
No, I think.
We
Oh,
haven't
okay.
shared
I
a
thought
room.
that's what I thought. I thought that's what we did. I thought we had like a
Oh.
one-room sort of thing
Yeah.
going on.
Okay.
But I could just be being
I'm
misremembered.
pretty sure because Iounia had even mentioned, she was like, I'm only okay sharing a room with you guys if you're okay with the fact that I don't sleep well at all. She's slightly nightmare prone. But we were all doing that, and Lythandr very generously paid.
That was the first time, I thought.
We've only shared one night together because we showed up for the party and we traveled through the night, and now
Oh, right.
Yeah, this is the first time we've gotten
Yep.
any time to rest.
Yeah, I remember.
Excellent. So, we all spent this location. Do we have a name of the place?
the Shining Dragon.
Shining Dragon it is.
Why not?
I like that. And the Shining Dragon isn't quite as shiny anymore as it may once have been, as you share this one room where you paid for to have together your own privacy. But of course, in this room, you also have a guard, a silent guard who stands in his sentry's rest, regaining any hit points that he's lost, as do you all when you prepare for this. The next morning comes, and the Shining Dragon is filled with smoke. Not smoke from a fire, it's not burning down, but you quickly come out to the smell of burning food. When you make it downstairs, now, of course, this might even smell great to the Warforged. I'm not quite sure. He'll have to chime in here in a minute. But there is some burning rat over there, and your hostess is proudly cooking for a group of individuals who have brought in some of their kill recently, taken from down near the cogs. And it is the finest large rat specimen, cooked up fresh, as only the Shining Dragon can do. She welcomes you over and invites you to the table where she's got clean water, where she also has a fresh squeezed purple berry juice. And she says, this can all be had along with the precious fresh rat's meat cooked, water, berry juice for the low, low price of 1 silver. Almost the price that you would pay for a room somewhere else. She guarantees it'll be she guarantees you'll love it.
Fine by me.
Do you have any fish, maybe?
She goes, somewhat affronted, fish? Don't go down near the docks. And somebody else laughs. She goes, you've always got fish. She goes, I know, but I wanted to serve meat today. And the heavy woman goes, yeah, of course I've got fish. Fish is cheap. She goes into the back. She goes, come back, offer people red meat. She goes, yeah, I can have some ready for you in a short time whatsoever.
Thank you.
A little bit later, along with the sizzle of the fried rat, there's a fish cooking as well. A table is available for just you since you rented an entire room to yourselves. You also have this table.
Oh, to the table.
A little bit later, your food is brought out to you. The drink, the water, the berry juice. Seth, how does NorthWatch respond to this breakfast?
There's not really much of a reaction. NorthWatch, as far as he recalls, humans don't tend to like eating rat, so there's some novelty to it, but there's really nothing to remark about. He's not hungry, obviously.
I didn't know if you had any comments about this inn versus your previous inn, if you had thought anything about it. Well,
he didn't think to serve rat at any point. It was nobody ever asked him for rat. It's like, oh, well, maybe I should have done that.
well, that's it. Now the Warforged has learned something new. Ah, this is how you get people, and you serve the finest in
Some of the
rat.
finest ROUSs.
Yes.
Rats, yes, rats of unusual size, indeed. As you're sitting at the table, I don't know if Seth's Warforged is actually like sniffing it or checking anything else, but she did bring 3 plates, not knowing whether or not the Warforged eats, or perhaps just looking to see like a gremlin what you'll do with it when she serves it to you. But either way, the door opens up and you recognize Cavil, who's coming in. Cavil comes right over and he says, I'm so glad you're up. He goes, I came right away. He goes, I need to get you back to where we have him, Yek. He goes, are you ready? You guys haven't even had a chance to eat yet.
Can we eat?
He goes, he sees the Warforged, and he goes, you gonna eat that? And he points at the rat.
While nobody was looking, he very politely took his right hand out of his cloak and pushed it away from him, roughly 6 inches.
Oh.
So his question is still the same. Did you push it while he was? You said nobody was looking, so he's pointing at it, saying, "Can I eat that?"
Be my guest.
Picks it up, gives it a quick sniff, and he's like, chows right into it. He's like, "Yeah, bring your food with you."
Right. Okay.
Pick up. Fast food. Let's go.
You start walking out. You've got your food, and each of you has a cup. When you hear a yell from behind you, and she says, "Hey, don't be taking my cups."
Drink the drink, put the cup down, carry out the food.
You guys head out, leaving the cups behind, some fresh meat in your hands. As he starts leading you up, you find out why he's so perturbed, and you can tell he doesn't want to tell you instantly. He says, there's been some problems with Yek. He tries to dodge saying anything more than that. It takes a little while, but you get on one of the magic elevators that pulls you up along glowing strands until you get to the same district as you were before. This is the militant district where he actually comes from. It's beneath where you were up in the Skyway, many, many levels down. He explains that this is where they have the prisoner kept right now.
Define problems.
Well, he goes, they had wanted you here, and now that he's in the comfort zone of the military district, the watch district, you're there as his guest, and numerous individuals are looking at you strangely, but he describes that he goes, Yek and his interrogation had a problem. He wouldn't reveal to us what he had done with the items. Specifically, the courier that had been robbed no longer had a scroll with them. He goes, and so he was kept overnight knowing that the magistrates were going to speak with him in the morning. And by this time he's gotten to the door and he opens it up and some individuals move out of the way, allowing you in. It's a large room. And you notice there's quite a chaos at the back. Numerous individuals talking. And as you grow closer to it, you realize what they're talking about is a few people mention the body. And that's when when Cavil explains. Yek was found dead this morning.
Oh.
I mean, serves him right for stealing and murdering people.
This morning, shortly after he was arrested, because he was arrested in the morning.
Didn't we do a long rest? That was what we just had to go to the next day.
Right.
And that's the whole idea. The long rest and overnight is when it happened. So yes, you did end in the morning. You went for a long rest. So we'll fast forward, and thank you for that correction. Take a plot point for that. I have no problem whenever I make a mistake. And we'll say it's the evening. We expected the interrogation to, we left him to rest at the end of it after dinner and whatnot. And he goes, we came back after dinner to get his plate. And that was when we found this. So rather than breakfast, what you guys were being served was rat for dinner and whatnot, along with your berry juice. So fresh rat for dinner.
Okay.
How did you guys find out that there was a scroll with the courier?
He goes, during the interrogation. He goes, we were asking about it. Now, he goes, if you remember, we went to the House Orion house, and we spoke with the diplomat there. And once we had Yek in custody, while while your group went back to sleep, she came by, and during the interrogation, as a dragon-marked house, there are certain leniencies given. So she was present for the interrogation, and she asked about it very specifically. Where was the scroll? And Yek said he would give up nothing unless we let him go. We let him stew on it, and then again, we brought him dinner later. And you get the idea that the interrogation may have been somewhat violent, because Cavill makes the comment, he goes, "But we didn't leave him this way." And when you ask about
kind of curls her fingers a little bit instinctively, but doesn't say anything.
Sergeant Iomman's voice booms out from a nearby desk. "So, you're back, and this time you're in my house. And of course, what else would I expect? There's trouble now."
We were just brought back here because there's trouble. To help you guys with your trouble.
He goes, "I'm pretty sure you were brought back to not only clear your name, but testify it's him. But I guess that was already done considering he confessed to the crime. Now the only question is, where is his stuff? Where are the belongings?"
Yeah, those are some real good questions.
I mean, I'm not a mind reader, and I'm certainly not a dead mind reader.
And considering we don't know this guy other than having helped you guys clean up a crime that happened in your city, we don't have answers to those questions. We could help you find those answers.
Cavill picks up on you saying that right away and says, "Sergeant, I brought them back. That was the agreement. They're off the hook then. You just said, Sergeant, that it was taken care of. He confessed to the crimes." So at this point, and you realize what Cavill's done by bringing you in to this place, there are numerous witnesses, as Iomman actually says, "Yeah, he confessed. Fine, they're off the hook. For this crime, at least. None other ones that they do." But he goes, and Iomman picks up on what you said, because Cavill was really happy about that. Iomman goes, "Wait, you say you can help out? What makes you think my guards can't do this?"
Absolutely
So, I mean, if
nothing.
you want your guards to do it, you go ahead. But if you want the extra help, we're here.
What is NorthWatch doing during all this?
He's observing. He doesn't quite know. He doesn't know where he falls in the chain of command here, so he's just kind of waiting to see if he can find any insight to offer.
Cavill leans over and whispers towards Iounia, who's been speaking the most directly, and says, "I'm pretty sure this is a good way to get on the good side of the watch." He goes, "Iomman's already he kind of whispers a little bit closer. He goes, "Iomman already has lost some street cred, some face, by the fact that he wanted you to pay for the crime." He goes, "But bringing him in made him look really good." He goes, "If we can do this, we can make him kind of have to and he kind of looks, he's looking around almost like watching who's seeing him talk to you, and he goes, "We could make it so that the watch doesn't come after you again." He goes, "Not like deputies, but," he goes, "Iomman's got his fingers in a lot of pots, and he wasn't happy when we challenged him the other night." And as you're hearing this, I'd like you to make an insight roll.
Was he a part of this big conspiracy?
I'll say NorthWatch is probably not. NorthWatch is not extremely inconspicuous about this whole thing as this whispering is going on. His face is turned directly towards him, just listening. Doesn't really have the ability to side eye all that much.
Yeah, your lack of facial control is very telling.
Mm-hmm. We'll do an insight though. 5.
A little bit oblivious to it. But yeah. Iounia realizes very quickly that Cavill, who's been a very straight shooter right from the start about defending you, working with you, putting his name on the line for you, is as much invested into this idea as anybody else, because if your rep goes up and he's backing you, it might get him a little bit back on the good side too. And so you understand instantly why he's doing this. It's not a matter of going against the sergeant. It's a matter of raising his own up because you've seen the way the sergeant treated him previously.
Mm-hmm.
So Cavill says to the sergeant really quick, he goes, "Sergeant, we're glad. We will absolutely talk about this. I will bring them into the whole dynamic here, Sergeant, as long as that's okay with you, right?" Iomman's like, "Get him out of my sight. I don't care. I still got a dead body to deal with." Cavill's like, "On it, sir. We'll find out what happened to the scroll. Absolutely. No problem." He ushers you back outside. He goes,
while that's all going on, could NorthWatch just kind of silently observe the body? Can he examine it?
Yeah, make a do you want to ask to do that? Because again, I talked about a crowd back there and whatnot. You could ask. Or do you want to try and like...
He would
get
probably
by
try to
people?
do it wordlessly until he found resistance.
Well, okay.
Does anybody stop him from leaning down and looking at the body?
Well, that's it. I'm just trying to picture whether or not, you're trying to get by some people here. Make up... You're not speaking, though, so... Let's see if anybody's going to oppose you first. I don't think you're going to need a rule. You know what? With Kavel and Ioman talking, these guys actually don't stop you. They just kind of move to the side. You don't say anything. And you actually realize, looking down at the body in the back cell, there's a food plate, and it's all eaten right next to him. Totally eaten. And then there's his wrists, both cut. You don't see a weapon there at all.
Well,
And you're like, there's a lot of blood from around his wrists, and you're noticing the pooling. And as you look, I want you to make a investigation roll because he's face down. And you've seen enough bodies that I want you to see if you pick up something else.
investigation is not a strong point for this one.
Well, the problem is you're not
That's a
handling.
7.
Yeah. So you can see that his wrists happen to be up and they're cut, but the blood is all over. I mean, he must have been laying here for at least an hour because it's all over.
Could I utilize medicine to try and determine the nature of the wounds?
If you want to handle the body, because you can see the open cut wrists.
Oh, yeah, there's no understanding of societal norms or tact here.
Okay.
He'll just immediately lean down and just take a grab of one of the wrists and look at it more closely.
NorthWatch reaches down, grabs one of the wrists. The others kind of look at you strangely for a moment, not stopping you, as you pull up on the arm, looking at the wrist closely, and as you do so, the head flops to the side and you realize the throat has been slit. All the blood that was pooled wasn't from the wrist so much as it was the slit throat, and has pooled underneath the body coming out. And now that with the head tilted to the side, you realize something else. There's something sitting on the floor. And it's a piece of tongue.
Okay. Are these wounds clean? Are they jagged?
Straight. Cut with a very sharp blade.
Okay. It's very clear that whoever did this knew exactly what they were doing, and they used a weapon to do so. I think that's
Do you
about
say
all.
that out loud?
No. He just kind of acknowledges his observation and then stands up and returns back to the party.
As you come back over towards where the party is heading out the door, you come out and Cable's like, "Oh, thought we lost you there for a minute." He goes, finding this scroll would help out a lot. He goes, but the reality is, he goes, it's about more than the sergeant. I didn't really want to say this inside. He goes, I heard her when she was asking about it. Whatever it is with this scroll is really important to House Orion. And I don't think it's just because they were couriers. I have a feeling that the scroll itself was really important.
Is there anybody who was enemies with Yak?
He goes, well, we were down at that house earlier. We saw the Blue Ost.
I mean, I feel like more likely what this is potentially, I mean, Yak was so adamant about not giving information and a lot of other stuff. It might be more likely that it's somebody who wasn't so much an enemy, but working for the same cause that came to tie off loose ends or something in case he was going to say something. There's always that potential. Or else people who were employing him slightly against his will. I'm not sure what the nature of him wanting that scroll was, but is there a log of everyone who had access to the building over the last several hours? Do people have to sign in to get into the building?
He goes, technically no one but a guard should get in, but I overheard Ioman saying that he believes it's the Boromars for certain. I don't know why. He goes, I don't see any halflings. He goes, Boromars are halflings usually. He goes, they hire some others now and again. but the Boromar clan is a group of halflings in here. He goes, they live in the city and whatnot. He goes, they control a lot of the crime around here.
I mean,
And-
I was gonna say if I was leading some sort of crime syndicate or something, I would absolutely keep people in the guard in my back pocket.
He goes, it makes sense. He goes, I know a few of the guard are more moved by money than they should be. He goes, their own private wealth. He goes, but one thing I happen to know for certain, he goes, because he goes, I was chatting with one of them on my own, and he goes, there was a coded letter that she kept asking about. He goes, one of my fellow guards overheard her asking him, and she was on about this supposed letter, what was in it, and Yek made the comment, it was in code, how was I supposed to know? So he goes, I think the real issue is she wants that letter, and Sergeant Ioman knows that he can get in good with House Orion if he finds it. He goes, if Yek sold it, but he never delivered it, he goes, he might have fenced it. We could go check with a fence. He goes, but I don't know if that would be it or where we would start to look.
Do the fences of Sharn speak?
No, he's taking a plot point. Cable looks at you strangely. He goes, well, yeah, I hope so. He goes, how else are they going to buy and sell goods? Totally oblivious to what Seth or NorthWatch is thinking.
Do you know the fences?
He goes, some. He goes, they all sell things. He goes, and there's one Timble who knows a little bit. He goes, if Yek was trying to sell something, Timble would probably be a good place to start. But it means going back down to Dura again, back down where he was. He goes, at least finding out maybe there was a connection to another one.
Also, when we were in the Rat's Paw Tavern, didn't the barkeep say something about some guy that they always wound up meeting down there or something?
Yeah, that was the actual courier that was killed.
Okay, that's right. Yep, I couldn't remember who that was. Alright, might be useful to go talk to this Timble character.
Okay. As you get down to Lower Dura, he introduces you to somebody that he knows the Yek, who he did not know, would have been involved with because it's the fence that's well known in that area. This guy's kind of dirty, scraggly, and you notice that he's got 2 long scratches down his face, and they look somewhat fresh. And you can see where they have bled and it's scabbed over. And the guy has when you meet him, you come into what appears to be a nice shop for the area. It actually has a locking door. Inside are some tables with a few wares on them and whatnot. But you also notice that the wares out on the tables are simple things. There's a backpack and it's got a broken latch on it. You notice some swords. There's actually a dagger sitting there as well.
But you notice NorthWatch spot the dagger?
NorthWatch did spot this dagger right away.
Intriguing.
But what he also notices, and all of you notice, is that the items that are out appear of medium quality or simple. The man behind the counter with the 2 long scratch marks down the side of his face, who looks up and welcomes you and says, welcome to my house of goods. I've got just about everything. And you notice that the counter that he's sitting at is a locking cabinet. So chances are you know that anything worth real value would be back there or in a back room, not out on the tables. It says, so, what brings you in here today, friends?
Did Cable tell us that this is where the fence was?
It is. This is where he led you to.
Okay.
If not this fence might lead us somewhere else, Cable had said.
Lythandr and Iounia might notice that NorthWatch is very curiously looking around the entire shop, and it doesn't look like he sees what he's looking for.
Where's the fence? I don't understand. White picket fence? Is that what I'm looking for?
Maybe barbed wire?
It's a camouflage fence, and I'm just not seeing it.
Numerous things blended are out here, but you certainly don't. You all stand out.
NorthWatch will look directly at the man and go, Do you represent the fence?
He looks somewhat aghast and, looking at Kayville, says, I don't know anything about anything illegal here and whatnot. And Kayville
Nothing
says,
illegal. We are looking for a merchant fence. We would like to speak to them.
He goes, a merchant fence? He goes, and Kayville says, I'll be outside. He steps outside, and you actually notice somebody else was going to be coming in, and Kayville says, shop's closed for the moment. And he closes the door behind him, leaving the three of you inside. He goes,
Let me explain.
I'm just an innocent merchant. I don't know anything about fencing.
I think I see the confusion here, NorthWatch. A fence is somebody who buys goods that were acquired by maybe less than legal means and make sure they get sold and handles erasing, trails that one might follow for an item.
I don't know anything about that. He hears you talking. He goes, I just buy and sell goods. That's all I do. He goes, simple merchant.
Yes, and ignoring the acquisition of goods, legal or not, do you happen to be familiar with the Ekgrin?
You happen to notice your passive perception's high enough. You notice as you say the words, his hands start going towards his face, and then he stops and he goes,
I was wondering if it was like claw
I know
marks.
the yak.
You two get into some sort of altercation recently?
He goes, what's it worth?
Is that a shifter claw mark?
And he goes, I don't know
No.
about...
Like, can I tell? Is that a shifter claw mark?
Make an insight roll.
Insight, man.
Well, what would you want to use instead? Let's go away from the insight. Insight's about what you wouldn't know, so...
survival?
It is his favorite enemy.
Go ahead. Yeah, being your favorite enemy.
22.
Dude, it doesn't just look like a shifter mark. You recognize the spacing of these two claw marks looking almost the same spacing as what you saw on his door with that massive X. So you're not only believing that a shifter could have done this, you're believing it's the same shifter. You're so good at hunting your favorite enemy, whereas others would never be able to tell the claw marks apart. You've seen this before.
We'll give you a gold for the information.
He goes, I sell goods, not information. He goes, but we could have a nice little chat. He goes, and he goes over and he picks up this little wooden frame off the wall, and it looks like it should have held a painting at one time, but somebody took the painting out of it. He goes, like this. He goes, I could sell you this for a gold.
Okay, that's fair. I pull out a gold and I give him the gold for that frame.
He goes, there's a very interesting story about that frame. He goes, that actually came from another merchant up in the Halfling area, up in Little Memphis. He goes,
okay.
If you were to happen to go up there, he goes, I happen to know some of my other patrons like to go to this individual. He goes, and you might be able to find, shall we say, a picture that would fit exactly what you're looking for to fit in that frame.
And I nod understandingly. Who exactly would I be going to up in Little Memphis?
He goes, you might want to look for a halfling by the name of Fizbit.
Why does that name sound familiar to me? I don't know why that name sounds familiar to me.
Not from this game.
I don't think I've ever played this setting before. Okay. And I nod. Thank you. Is there anything else I ought to know about this picture frame?
He goes, only that it's worth less than a gold.
Well, that is the nature of the business. You win some, you lose some, right?
He goes, yes, and while I said Little Memphis, it's actually little plains up above the Memphis plateau and whatnot. So he goes, yeah, he goes, head up there. He gives you some directions how to find Fizbit. And he goes, when you go in there, he goes, he's a trader of other things, shall we say, such as information, and might be able to have a buyer for much more gold than what this frame is worth.
Is that also a fence?
He seems somewhat affronted and goes, I have no idea what you're talking about. No idea at all. No idea. And he goes back behind the counter and sits down. He goes, if you're not buying, You should leave.
Thank you very much. And I will go open the door and hold the door open.
Lythandr, what have you been doing during this whole time?
She's been busy talking with this merchant. I've been busy just examining some of his wares. If there's anything nice and shiny around.
Make an investigation roll. If you roll high enough, I'll let you roll percentiles. There was nothing nice and shiny. About the shiniest thing was the buckles on the backpack, and like I said, one of those is broken. So you're like, yeah, this place is a dump.
I've lost interest about halfway through this conversation, just leaning against a wall waiting for it to be over.
But did she find a white picket fence?
NorthWatch will take one step to follow Iounia, and then he'll stop and look at the merchant and say, Yak was found dead in his cell this morning. He won't trouble you again. And then he'll just follow Iounia out the shop.
Iounia, I just had your passive perception in front of me. What is it again?
11.
Mine is 14, if that does anything for you.
Well, the problem is you just walked out of the shop, so you didn't really get a chance to see his reaction.
I was holding the door open for my companions, so...
Yeah,
Also, I'm not really sure he would understand what the reaction was.
Yeah. Alright, nope. You guys walk out of the shop, the door closing behind him, and you see his face. You don't see anything. But inside, Timble sits back, wondering about what he's done with Yak and what will come after him next as a result. He goes back to his business, checking the locks on his things, as you guys meet up with Cable. Cable says, so what'd we find out?
We want to be heading up to Little Plains to find a halfling by the name of Bisbit.
He goes, back up there again? He goes, we were almost all the way up there. He goes, what was it that he traded? He goes, did he trade the scroll here? And why are we going up there?
He said that we were basically just told kind of vaguely that the halfling Bisbit would probably be a better place to find the information that we're looking for. So my guess might be that he didn't fence it here. Maybe that's another fence. Everything seems to be strongly pointing at the Bloramore being a huge part of it, though, because it kept getting halflings from this guy. Lots about halflings.
He goes, well, anything up on the Little Plains is going to be halflings. He goes, that's where they all hang out. He goes, they've basically rebuilt their own home up there. He goes, you realize they actually have dinosaur riding up there? He goes, they've really taken all their expense to recreate hovels and plains all the way up there at the tops of the towers where they're connected. He goes, bloody ridiculous waste of space if you ask me, but he goes, the higher you go in the towers, the higher people get in their mind. He goes, it's utterly insane. He leads you along, and this time you actually take the lift up to one level, and then you have to take some of the other branches. You end up having to get onto a different type of lift. This lift is monitored by a gruff-looking dwarf who's also part of the watch. And he says, so, you're on my lift, are you? He goes, what do you want? And Cable's like, watch business. He explains to him, he goes, yeah, heard that before. He goes, yeah, but this is my spot to watch. He goes, what's with the Warforged? And Cable goes, all Warforged are sentient. He goes, all Warforged are people. He goes, we're just going about our business. He goes, they're with me. He goes, yeah, he goes, you know the halflings don't like Warforged. He goes, good luck with that. He goes, tower over them. Big hunk of metal. That'll work. Takes a couple of minutes, and you guys end up, the lift stops, but instead of at a platform where you would expect a walkway, you stop on the edge of a grassy knoll. The glowing bar comes down to the bottom, and you're able to walk out on grass. The path leads away from you towards the tower itself. The knoll built in as you realize the grass goes right up to this tower. And there's actually long hills and curves. You can't even imagine the amount of weight and soil and everything else here. And you see a little wooden sign pointing, and it talks about the directions, and you realize it's pointing towards where the shopping areas are, where the homes are. And Havel looks at it quickly and says, he goes, if we want merchants, obviously it's this way. It doesn't take long to follow the directions to find exactly where Fizbit is. He goes, and you actually recognize a beautiful sign on the side of this round door. There's a sign right next to the path, and it proudly proclaims Fizbit's fashions and other funny things.
Were you aware that the halflings don't like Warforged? That was something I didn't know.
No idea.
Havel says, he goes, I think that dwarf doesn't like Warforged. He goes, I know plenty of halflings that love Warforged. He goes, don't let your past get in the way. He goes, every one of you has a future. He goes, every Warforged I've met is just trying to find out what it is. He goes, I don't know why halflings wouldn't like Warforged. And at that, you hear a voice from the sign. The sign itself speaks, and it says, I like Warforged, come on in. You might want to duck, though.
How tall is the door?
The door is about 4 foot tall.
Oh yeah, it's going to require a crouch.
That's going to require maybe some crawling. I'm going to open the door and hold it open for everyone. I mean, even I'm 5'7" or something like that.
You guys all duck your head as you go in. How tall is NorthWatch?
It's like 6'7", 6'8".
So even after you get in, when you go through this little doorway, the ceiling is higher, but the ceiling's only 5.5 foot tall. So all of you end up stooped over a little bit, NorthWatch quite a bit, as you're in this lower thing. And out comes this gaily dressed in these red and white striped pants, this halfling with a beautiful sash around his middle, and he's got a gold brocade over his left shoulder, and he says, Howdy! I'm Fizbit! Nice to meet you. What can I do for you?
It's nice to meet you, Fizbit. We're wondering if you're familiar with the yak.
Lythandr leans over to his good friend Iounia and whispers quietly, I thought we were looking for a frame.
We have a frame, we have a fence, you know.
The man looks somewhat puzzled when you ask him about, the yak, and says, yeah, I don't deal in animals at all. No yaks here. He goes, you'll have to go somewhere else. He goes, sorry about that. I invited you in, but I didn't know you were looking for animals. He goes,
not an animal. We're not looking for an animal. He's a person, a shifter, and I'm sorry. Did someone say something?
He
or
swallows hard while you're talking, as if not liking the fact that you're talking about the yak.
And we were told that you might have some information regarding him.
He goes, I might know something a little bit, but why do you want to know about him?
I thought we were inquiring about a picture frame.
Lythandr shrugged innocently. I have no idea.
There's no fence, and there's no picture. Well, there is a literal picture frame, but it represents something more.
Fizbit walks behind you while you're talking, and you see him run his hand along the edge of the door. And for those of you with a passive perception above 10, you hear some slight locking and clicking sounds.
Lythandr just looking around, innocent to all.
Lythandr with that low passive perception.
Good roll. Low passive perception.
Honestly, that's more of the ranger's gig, so that's okay.
The halfling comes back around the front and he goes, look, he goes, I don't know what brought you in here. He goes, and if you're looking for the yak, I don't know where he is. He goes, it's that simple. Oh, by the way, Kayville stayed outside on this one too.
Mm-hmm.
Kayville's smart enough to realize you guys are going to be dealing with some things. So, as the halfling talks, he says, don't know why you'd be looking for the yak. He goes, not much I can do about him. He goes, I barter information, that's all.
Well,
He goes,
We don't need to find the yak. The yak is no longer going to move anymore.
he got himself murder stabbed.
Mm-hmm.
He died under the watch of the guard. The guard of the watch. The other way around.
In jail. I
guess-
thought that normally happened to like super messed up people, but apparently common thieves and murderers can also get murdered in jail.
He goes, well, he goes, that would figure. He goes, you mess with the Boromar clan. He goes, you're going to get yourself dead.
What exactly did he do that messed with the Boromar clan?
He goes, when the Boromar clan offers you a job, you take it. He goes, it's just that simple. He goes, take the job. I told him. He goes, you got something valuable, he goes, and they want it. You don't try and pawn it off. You don't try and sell it. He goes, you give it to them. That's all.
So the Boromar wanted the letter and the scroll that he stole from House Orion?
He goes, that's, I don't know, House Orion. He goes, there's some information. I didn't know about that. He goes, but I'll tell you what. He goes, I did know that he was offered a job. He goes, but, of course, all jobs cost a little bit of money. And you notice that he's rubbing his fingers together, which are strangely empty of money.
I will put a gold in his fingers.
He looks at it, he goes, that's cute. And he pockets it away.
I will put another gold in his fingers.
He goes, it's almost like two little children, like playing with each other. And he pockets it away. He goes,
Okay.
I'm thinking you'd rather have a party. Wouldn't you like to have a party with lots of people?
I will give him a platinum piece.
He goes, yep. He goes, there we go. Happy little family. He goes, now, let's talk appropriately. He goes, the yak did want to have money. He goes, but if you want to sell something expensive, he goes, you sell it to the Boromars. You don't try to hold out on them. He goes, so the Boromars made him a deal, but he didn't like the deal. So he thought he would actually try and sell it to me. Fool. He goes, what do you think? I'm going to go against the Boromar clan? It's my own people. I'm not going against the Boromar clan. They're beautiful. They're awesome. They're wonderful.
So you already knew that the Boromar clan wanted this? Because I assume he didn't just volunteer that information upon trying to sell it.
He was looking for a higher bid. And he goes, and I have a way of helping getting people to talk. He goes, kind of like the way money finds its way into my hands.
So did he seek out the Boromar to try and sell it and not like the offer that they gave, or did they seek him out knowing that he had it?
Kitty-Do, make a perception roll, and I need NorthWatch to make a perception roll with disadvantage, please.
What's so funny about him rolling a perception roll?
That'd be a
NorthWatch
9
has a
with
9.
disadvantage.
And Kitty has... Did you just roll that now? Did I just miss? No,
Yeah,
that's,
an
no,
8.
that's earlier. Oh,
No.
I saw the 935 on top of it on our
Yeah.
thing. So,
Nope. It'd be an 8 and a 9.
alright.
Oh,
Alright, so... Lythandr, you're looking around trying to find something that might be valuable in here and whatnot. You're seeing lots of shiny things, but everything you see seems pretty well guarded. And NorthWatch, you have now... You're like, why does Lythandr keep going over and like handling and touching things? So like, he has you as a helpful friend watching him closely, which is probably why he's like...
with no
struggling to find
discretion
something.
whatsoever.
No,
He's also a little bit distracted because this weird thing where someone rubs their fingers together and then Iounia puts money in the hand and then they use language in a very confusing way that he's really trying his hardest to piece it together and it just isn't happening.
Maybe money is sentient and doesn't want to be alone, and that's why it needed a family.
That's not something he's ever understood, so...
The little halfling who is continuing to have his chat with Iounia shares, he goes, look, he goes, it's just this simple. He goes, you don't cross the Boromars. He goes, how tough is it to understand? You don't cross them. He goes, my people respect the Boromars. The Boromars help keep us things running smooth. Yak didn't volunteer so much as he may have said he was just looking to try and find a better deal. I think he had looked elsewhere, but that had set off some red flags. So when he came here, I let him know. I said, you know, you deal with them, you deal straight, or you have issues. He paid me a little something, and I happen to know that the powers that be that were looking for it, that paid me last for some information, happen to live nearby. So if something happened to the Yak and he's no longer moving, that would probably be where I would look. But I just, something like that, knowing where to look, that would be worth probably quite a bit. I'd have to think about that a little bit.
I will stick another platinum piece in his hand.
He goes, it is. He goes, it's almost like, you need a kissing cousin, because, one person on his own is very lonely.
Do you think I'm actually made out of money? I give him a gold for his other hand. This way it's male and female instead of, something else.
He goes, it's feeling so light. He goes,
Well,
make a persuasion roll. See if you can convince
First
him.
watch, you just need to stroll up behind Iounia and do some sort of intimidation.
I botched.
I'm so thankful because, when I rolled, I thought you were going to get away with it there, but I ended up getting a 3. You can't see it. I'm sorry.
Well, with my bonus, it's a 6. My charisma's a 20.
Yes, but you got a natural 1. You botched.
I know, but
no bonuses. Natural 1. You botched. It just is what it is. It's a natural 1. You get the wonderful thing of him saying, these just don't weigh the same thing. He goes, and I'm thinking, I just look nearby. That's it. And he puts them both away. He goes, because beyond that, I would have to have something to balance me hands to make them feel the same. And you realize that because of your botch, he's already put away the money and he's looking to have his 2 hands balanced.
Lythandr is feeling like because just the house is so small and everything else, and he's been kind of I don't know if you could quite call it a chicken walk when you're scrunched down and kind of walking, but he is feeling like he was not meant to walk this way, and his legs are feeling it, and he might fall on this halfling.
Oh, you are so bad. So, NorthWatch, you see Lythandr starting to lose his balance and almost fall on your host.
I'll catch him.
No.
Make a dexterity roll, and whoever gets the higher dexterity is going to win out on this one.
Oh, dear God. What kind of roll was that?
You're making an acrobatics to try to dodge or bounce off of him.
Oh, just a regular dexterity roll?
You are making a dexterity roll. She's making an acrobatics roll because she's actually kind of... I could have got entertainment.
Oh, okay.
So, literally, you reach out to her, and she kind of hits your arm and bounces off of it and rolls and falls on top of the halfling, doing a whole... Oh, oops, I'm sorry. I lost my balance type thing.
Cool.
And, go ahead.
I want to just try and, I saw where he put it in his pockets. I just want to see if, I can sleight of hand kind of take the money back.
Go ahead, make a sleight of hand roll with advantage. He's like, you're clumsy.
Nat 20!
Nat 20.
You end up pulling out, because he had put him in his breast pocket. You pull out the platinum, you pull out 2 gold, and you pull out something else. And I will describe it in just a minute as you very quickly, sleight of hand, just pocket it and you're helping it back up and whatnot.
I'm sorry. My
goes,
legs
Get
are
away from me. Get away from me. He goes,
I'm sorry.
goes,
I'm sorry.
I told you. He goes, you need to balance my hands before I tell you anything else. He goes,
I
otherwise just go and look around. He goes, see how it works out when you start walking around asking people, oh, anybody know the Yak?
I will give him the 2 platinum.
Okay.
He goes, oh. He goes, now you're a discerning. He looks at you again. He goes, you're a discerning woman, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He goes, he goes, what exactly kind of woman are you? He goes, is that greenish hair?
Yes, it's very green.
He goes, but is it natural? He goes, when you first walked in, I thought it might be like, you know, a wig or a weave or something like that. But now, he goes, I'm sort of mesmerized by it. He goes, it's more flashy than my pants here. He goes, it shines almost as bright as my gold. And you realize something's changed as he's staring at you. Almost like he's mesmerized.
Yes, it's natural. It's been this way for, you know, quite some time.
He's like,
this is a very strange interaction that is being witnessed right now.
he's like, there's just something about you. I don't know what it is. He goes, but I tell you what, he goes, you're the most beautiful creature I've ever seen. And if you want to know, he goes, I'll tell you what. Nearby the Boromar clan, they have a house and they got a big party coming up. He goes, and
Party?
if ever there was going to be a time and a place where they might have something like this that you're looking for, that's where it would be kept, because the Boromars, well, they have more platinum and money than you could imagine. And so, pardon me.
There it is.
Thank you. He goes, so if they have something of value, that's where they bring it. And he goes, if you need to pass something, he goes, there's no better place than at a party. He goes, which also means chances are whatever you're looking for is probably going to be there and move out the same night. He goes, now, how you get in there as big folk, yeah, that's another problem and a question all on your own.
Do you have any ideas as to how I might be able to?
You can make a persuasion roll.
Bat my eyelashes at him a little bit, you know.
He has fallen in love with your money.
17.
He goes, well, he goes, I'll tell you what. He goes, I've had some individuals and I've had some dealings there a few times. And he goes, their use of magic is wonderful and beautiful. He goes, but the reality is, an Everlight lantern only casts light for about 20 feet around it. He goes, and they put Everlight lanterns at every 50 feet, which means there's a little bit of shadow in between them. And a wise individual might be able to sneak between the shadows and through the, shall we say, the shrubberies to get up to the manor house.
All right. That's good to know. Thank you very much.
He goes, you're welcome. He goes, now he goes, you should, he goes, may I ask you something? He goes,
Ask away.
He goes, that green hair that you got, he goes, what would it cost to have just a lock of it? He goes, it's stunning. It's beautiful.
All my money back.
All my money back. Oh,
I was going to
gosh.
say roughly 2 platinum.
Tell you what, for the pleasure of this encounter and the hopes that we maintain good standing between the two of us, I'll give you this one for free. I pull out my dagger and I cut off a little, like, of the big puffy poof on the one half of my head. I cut off about, like, an 1.5 inch locket for him.
You cut off this little 1.5 inch locket, this curl of hair, and he holds it and he goes, it's soft, like softer than the morning grass. He goes, it's beautiful. He goes,
And this is getting weird.
I appreciate this. And he puts it in his pocket and he says, the goodwill is definitely yours. He goes, I tell you what. He goes straight up the path here. He goes, so far. He goes, and he actually starts to detail not only where it is, but when the party's going to be held. He's now told you when might be a good chance to get in. He goes, but he advises you. He goes, you're going to need to learn about how they're operating. He goes, because people will be coming into this party from everywhere. He goes, and if you want to try to get in there, he goes, you're going to need to know how, what, where, and everything that you can about this. So as you leave, he unlocks the door, and this time you happen to see a gold flash as he moves his hand along it, and there's the familiar sound of locking, and then he grabs the center doorknob and opens the door and invites you to come back again soon. including you, the tall one, NorthWatch. He doesn't know your name. He just says the tall one.
Yeah, it's understood in this context. Man, NorthWatch learned a lot, but so little from that interaction.
Obviously, falling on people makes you, like somebody else.
Apparently,
You should
hair
try it
is a
sometime.
valuable commodity. I didn't know that people traded hair. That's very strange. Okay.
Nobody ever traded hair at your inn before.
Nobody offered hair.
Yeah. Weird. Obviously, different, city,
Somebody
different
has
cultures.
appreciated my hair and the piece of art that I am. I am in a very good mood.
Lythandr's worried about what he's gonna do with that hair.
Where to now?
Get out and it's probably not good to just talk up here. Tell Cable that we need to go looking back down towards all the way towards the Rat's Paw Tavern. Probably, you said we're above the Memphis district?
You are the Memphis Plateau. The city of Sharn sits on 5 different regions with little, if you want to call it valleys. It's the shattered edge of a coastline. So there's these 5 plateaus like buttes. And then on top of those, the towers are built up with many various bridges in between them and whatnot. Memphis is actually the center one in the middle of the city, if you will. So at the top of Memphis is the university, but farther high up on many of the towers is the actual Little Plains district, about mid-level, mid-plateau, I can't figure what they're calling it now. Anyways, but about halfway up. All the way at the top is the Morgrave University and whatnot. So, again, when you talk about wealth, this is upper mid-level on the towers, so you're not in the poor area anymore, you're in the wealthy, but we're not the wealth of wealthy. We are not the uber rich of where you were in the Skyway. These people are people of means, obviously have a lot of money, and judging by the architecture and whatnot that you're seeing here, they have recreated the Talentia Plains from the eastern part of the continent, and recreating it included bringing in these hills, these things, and as you come out, you actually hear a roar in the distance. Now, of course, the horizon, you can still see other towers and parts of the city, but if you were only looking down, if you ignored the scape of the city around you, if you just looked at the grass, you would instantly believe you were in the middle of the Talentia Plateau. And the roar that you hear sounds like it's from some large beast. Large carnivorous beast at that.
Ooh. Well, I will invite my companions in that we should to be leaving the plains to be heading back down out of the district. So that way, once we're out of the district, I won't say this out loud, but once we're out of the district, that way we can talk without risk of being overheard by little halfling ears.
So where are you going to leave? You're just going to go back to the lift? Because Cavill's with you now that you're outside. He's like,
Yes.
Wait, I thought we came here to actually find, track down the letter. Did you find out nothing inside?
I found out that we need to be looking back down towards the Rat's Paw Tavern.
So we back down to the Rat's Paw Tavern. He goes,
Yes,
this
there's
is
a
getting
lot of-
exhausted. So makes his way to the lift, where the same, you have to wait for about 20 minutes while the lift going up and down finally comes back. And,
at the mention of him getting exhausted, NorthWatch will just go, "Oh, do you need calories?"
Any old calorie.
Are you asking the guy on the lift?
No, Cavill, because he was talking about getting exhausted.
He goes, I had the rat earlier. He goes, why, you got something else that's good? He goes, I do like to eat. He goes, and you notice he's thin, he's buff, he's in shape. Young guy. They can eat.
NorthWatch has some leftover field rations that he just kind of has on his person, and he'll offer them.
How long has NorthWatch had these field rations?
He doesn't remember.
Start of the war. NorthWatch pulls out this field ration that he was issued at the very start.
Looks like he sat on it at some point.
And
probably
the other
fermented
two of
at this point, whatever it is.
The other two of you can make a perception roll with advantage. The war has now been over for 4 years. Wow. Iounia.
Now,
And that was
he wouldn't.
a botch.
No. Just to be fair, he wouldn't give him something that he knows will make him sick. He knows humans very well, so whatever it is, even if it's not pleasant, it's technically edible.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Iounia and Lythandr are noticing about the same amount.
He pulls out these bread biscuits that are still wrapped in coyote wrappings that he opens up, and it's this bread that at one time was probably a hardtack biscuit, nice and crispy, but has absorbed moisture over the last year so that it actually sticks to part of the wrapping and whatnot. As he opens it up, he scoops out part of this like mushy paste powder and offers it to you as food. And Cable looks at it and goes,
Oh.
"Is that moving?"
Hello.
And you look down and yeah, it's got some little weevils in it, but weevils need to eat too.
My hand is steady.
Here, I have some more recent rations.
Cable looks at you and goes, I'm not eating that. No, I'm not doing that at all.
I will give him one of my fresher rations.
He'll pack it back up and put it away.
All three of you take a plot point. The dwarf who's been watching this, because it took about 20 minutes to get up there, watches this whole interchange with you and Cable, and he looks over and he goes, "Yeah, go ahead, eat it." And he goes, "Hey, what is it you got?" He goes, "I'll take some." And he holds out his hand to you.
Oh, I'll give him one too.
Oh.
No, actually, he was holding it out to NorthWatch.
NorthWatch.
Yeah, he'll give it.
And then he goes, pokes it with his finger for a minute, and he goes, "Yeah, that still tastes good." And he starts lapping it out of the thing and whatnot. And you see it start falling into his beard, and his nice reddish brown beard starts getting all these white things in it and whatnot. And as he does, there's like some of these little weevils that eat around and swim and things. And it's just kind of crawling in his beard. He's like, "Doesn't taste bad at all." He goes, "You know how many calories they put in this?" He goes, "Man, you eat one of these." He goes, "You're good for a day." Or in my case, at least 3 hours.
Like that, he's just gonna.
From my understanding, that was generally the
look
idea.
away.
Cable's
Extra
like,
calories for those bugs.
you know, he accepts your rations and whatnot. He goes, "I'd much rather eat fresh food, but, you know, I'll eat this. Thanks." And he thanks you. You guys make your way back down to Lower Door. Are you heading to the Rat's Paw?
No, once we're far enough away, I'm gonna if we pass like another tavern or someplace that I can get us a room to talk in and stuff, I'll pull people aside and bring Cable up to date on all of the information that we got to conclude with, he said something about somebody wise sneaking through. I'm not sure wise is necessary, but Lythandr, maybe you have some ideas on how to get into this party and make our way through it.
Well, it really depends on the kind of party. If it's done by invites, by sort of mailing of cards, and you show your card to show that you were properly invited, or if it's done by checklist,
We were told that we'd be sneaking, literally sneaking, like between.
But why sneak when we could be invited guests?
Because we're tall and we stand out, and we can't be invited because it's a halfling party.
We could be the freak show showing up.
Cable says, he goes, if it's a halfling party you're going to, and she's talking about a free show, he goes, you understand, he goes, you can't get everything from your own people. He goes, it doesn't kind of work that way in the world. He goes, he looks at the Warforged and he goes, House Cannith had to produce Warforged to fight for him because we didn't have enough soldiers. He goes, they're going to need cooks. They're going to need the entertainment that Lythandr here is talking about. They'll need some people to prep and serve. He goes, they might be hiring others that way. He goes, or if not hiring, he goes, maybe they could actually get you to sneak in with them, or...
I'm thinking our best way is just to not hide at all, but find a way to get in via entertainment or service. We just have to figure out where that is.
Was it Iounia that said an invite, or was that Lythandr?
Lythandr.
Lythandr. So he goes, Or your idea of an invitation. He goes, I don't know where you'd secure an invitation. You'd have to find somebody who's already been invited.
Well, I mean, my big thing is everybody's going to the party, right? Everybody who's been invited is going to end up there. So all we have to do is procure it off of one of the people walking in the streets.
Well, since you've now, Iounia said that she brought him up to speed on everything that Fizbit said. He describes, he's familiar enough. He goes, the Talentia Plains celebration happens about once a year. He goes, not always once a year. He goes, sometimes I'll do it twice. He goes, but it celebrates everything to do with the culture. He goes, that's probably why. He goes, while you guys were inside, I was listening. I could hear some dinosaurs in the distance. They'll bring them in and actually have dinosaur races that day. He goes, there's always a few rich individuals that have them. He goes, but they'll bring some in just for that day. He goes, the architecture will be everything from the plains. He goes, this is huge. He goes, you'll have halflings coming in from all over, as well as guests to see and experience the Talentia Plains culture. So he goes, it won't just be halflings.
Makes sense to sneak in more feasible.
If sneaking is the option you would like to go with, Lady Iounia, I can attest that despite my large size and stature, I am quite good at it.
I'm going to have to take your word on that. I'm just saying, with all of our very unique looks, I think the best way to go is not to sneak, but to just be in plain sight.
He goes, so you just want to walk in the front door? Or he goes, I might be able to get in as a watch. He goes, but from what you told me, this is really heavy with the Boromar clan. He goes, and I'm not sure that the Boromar clan are going to want the watch there.
Not, and I think bringing the watch there will only serve to potentially make them sneakier, make it harder for us to find them and locate the objects. If we're going to be getting in and finding them, we want them to be as comfortable as possible at this party. I also think that potentially the fact that our faces are all over having publicly asking about the yak and apprehending him, bringing him in, being brought back on this case out, and we have some very noticeable faces. If we just walk in the front door, that's going to add to their discomfort level because we are known as being all over this case. Plus, there were already a bunch of little halflings in the Rat's Paw Tavern when we were there the last time, and they didn't really like us, and they left in kind of a huff. So I have a feeling we're in negative with the Boromar clan already. I don't think having our faces there just plainly is going to be a good idea.
Iounia gets to make a perception roll because she's put together some things. You just stated out loud. You guys are really struggling with the perception tonight. I feel bad for you because of all this extra information I can't give you. But God bless you. You're trying really hard.
I'm trying so hard.
You really are. This is a rough night. This is probably the roughest dice roll night I've ever seen for you guys.
In the beginning, I didn't want to do most of the talking, and I'm just sitting here doing most of the talking.
But I will also say this. I'm incredibly grateful all the bad dice rolls are on a night when it's not a combat night, when it's just we're role-playing. Oh, look, we didn't get information. Oh, look, we didn't notice this. Okay. Rather than,
that's what
look,
you think. I strike the nearest person.
You know, yeah, it's like I go to hit and I get a horrible botch again. I go to dodge the fireball and I get a horrible botch. No, I'd rather have the good rolls on that night. So I'll count this as lucky that they're all getting out of the way tonight.
Sure.
So Cavil says, it seems obvious. You got to pick which way you want to go. Lythandr's got some ideas here about whether we want to go in plain sight. Do we want to go in plain sight as a guest? Do we want to go in plain sight as service-oriented? How do we know which ones will get in better? Do you want to case the joint? Do you want to go and case people? Do you want to, what do you want to do?
Not to mention, we might also have a problem with the fact that, I mean, we just got all this information from a halfling, and while, you know, he may play very neutral and sell us that information, he'd probably be just as quick to sell the information to the Boromar that we're looking to acquire these objects. I don't know how trustworthy this guy is. He likes money. So, and the Boromar have money. He
goes, I don't know him, so I really can't say. He goes, I know the Talentia Plains because, you know, with our whole system of where we have to walk and guard. We have to learn the various layouts of much of Sharn itself. He goes, but I'm not one of the ones picked for there. So while I'm familiar with its layout, that's not my normal beat walk.
I think sneaking is our best bet.
I will do whatever you ask me to do, Lady Iounia.
Unless we have, like, some sort of way to cast spells like Disguise Self, but, like, I don't have a way to cast Disguise Self. I don't know if we do. So, again, we're going to be very noticeable.
I mean, you two definitely are. You've got that green, bright hair going for you. He's got
like I said,
himself going for him.
noticeable.
But I could blend in. I'm just your average Joe human. Brown hair, nothing really special about me.
Yes, you could go in by yourself and go acquire the items.
Well, I'm saying that we might be able to best navigate this by going in different ways and meeting up.
Sneaking is not my strong suit at all. I would have to find somewhere to store my chainmail armor to have a chance at it.
Well, so maybe you should go in as an entertainment aspect. He could sneak in. He says he's good at sneaking.
Again, our face is all over this investigation. I think just if they know I'm at the party, they can identify me. And I don't.
Are you saying you don't want to go at all? I'm confused.
Saying I don't know how.
So you're saying you want to sneak, but you're bad at sneaking.
I am very bad at sneaking.
Have you considered disguising yourself as a trash can and just kind of waddling in?
Trash can.
If anybody looks in, they might see the green puff at the top of your head and just think it's garbage.
Did you just call my hair garbage?
I'm saying in the shadows of the trash can, it may look like mold.
Oh, those look pretty natural. Okay, so I think for sure, I think NorthWatch sneaking is probably our best bet for him. You can try to acquire yourself an invitation or something then if you would like to just go in the front door.
Mm-hmm.
And I could lurk around like the perimeter potentially and try to keep an eye on like people like coming and going.
Well, Cable, as you're talking about that, says he goes, you just mentioned coming around the perimeter. How big is this place? He goes, should we even go take a look at it and decide whether we can sneak in or any of that? He goes, and you just brought up a really good point. He goes, and if we're sneaking around looking at it, won't they recognize that it's us later on?
Absolutely.
So
I would assume as much.
He goes, I realize I don't do all this. He goes, but I know as watch, I'm always looking for people who seem suspicious, standing around, peering. So it's why we challenge people for what they're doing. He goes, now I could probably walk up there and get a general layout of it. But I couldn't really spy or check how to get in.
So just bringing this in, a quick little rules thing. NorthWatch's background as an outlander gives him the Wanderer feature, which says that he has an excellent memory for maps and geography and can always recall the general layout of terrain, settlements, and other features around him.
Beautiful.
So he will go ahead and say, I could draw up my cloak to cover my face and quickly make a round about the settlement and see if I can just memorize it. I'm generally pretty good at that.
Excellent. As far as Cable is concerned, he goes, if you don't think you'll be recognized, he goes, a Warforged walking around there, seems like a good idea.
He'll tug his hood a little bit further down so that maybe only just this tiny little point of his chin will show up.
and it sticks out quite pointedly out the front.
It's early model Warforged. They were pretty distinct, unfortunately.
Oh boy.
Later, they went for headbutts. With his, it was more of the chin spike.
It's a face smash.
That's
Him
it.
doing
You get the double point.
That nod of, hey, what's up? It's actually in it.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I'm gonna headbutt you so hard, my goal roll will be imprinted on your head when I'm done.
It's like the Phantom, like that old timey comic. He had like the skull ring that he would punch people with.
Yep. Oh.
Sounds like a good plan to me.
Okay.
So at this point, are you guys gonna wait here for him, or what are you gonna do?
I have nothing else in mind that I should be doing.
Lythandr's ready to lean against the wall and look cool and non-suspicious,
Well,
loitering.
Have to get at least 2 hours of that in every day.
One of the neat things is that
Part of his
you all
aesthetic.
corrected earlier that this happened around dinner time when you went to the inn. Then you came down to Dura. Then you went up. I shouldn't say north. Then you went up in the towers, up above Memphis, and you met with Fizbit. Then you came back down. So by now, it's nighttime. It's got to be about, if we were using clocks of today, go to 10, 11 at night.
Mm-hmm.
So you know it's
Oh, wait, was
dark
the party
out.
happening tonight also?
No, it's tomorrow
Okay.
night.
Okay, got it.
Maybe you should take some time now, Lythandr, to try and acquire yourself an invitation or something.
Well,
I often work better alone, so I can go get a look at the surroundings.
I don't know who's all invited to the party. The idea was to wait until they all start showing up to the party.
And rob someone of their invitation at the party?
Before they get into the party.
But would they not just go and say, I just got robbed?
Well, the idea is, they shouldn't realize they've been robbed up until they're looking for their ticket.
Okay.
So I get in first, I look like an invited member, and they misplaced their ticket. That's their loss.
Okay.
That doesn't sound legal.
It's highly illegal. I
It,
don't approve of it at all, but
it is only illegal if they catch you.
no, it's still illegal. It's just unpunished.
We have different ways of viewing this.
It's definitely illegal by definition.
It's for a legal cause, though. We're trying to put bad people behind bars.
That's the only
We're
reason I'm not saying
commandeering
anything.
something.
Commandeering is more upfront.
Well, this commandeering is behind people's backs.
It's not commandeering, then it's still stealing. It's definitely illegal.
Involuntary commandeering.
Unbeknownst commandeering.
Yeah. Whenever we figure out what we're doing, NorthWatch will absolutely go on his own if that's okay with the rest of the group anyway.
Fine by me.
Yep.
As NorthWatch heads out, you remain behind, sitting at this Dura Inn. I say that because, again, you chose not quite the Rat's Paw. You're somewhere above that, but it's still Dura. It's not exactly high quality down there. And NorthWatch makes his way back. This time, it's going to cost him a little bit to ride the lifts. So you're going to end up losing 5 copper just to ride a basic lift up and whatnot. So you can
Sure.
Less than I've lost today.
Yes, but you got a lot of information. You make your way back to the Memphis Plateau in the dark and whatnot. And I'm going to need you to make a stealth roll. And then I want you to make right after that, which will be affecting this roll, a scouting roll. So typically that is a wisdom perception roll. However, nice. So you're
16 on the stealth.
You're trying to use your now one of the neat things that you find is you're used to working out in the wilderness, and while it's
this is the plains. This isn't a forest. Very different.
Correct. And what I was going to say, while you're used to being outside, one of the things you notice immediately is the ever-bright lanterns that Fitzbit was talking about are set up along what might be a fence type structure every 50 feet, lighting it up. So you know that you're going to have to try and get beyond those to see inside to wherever whatever's going to be on their side. House, manor, alligator pits, you don't know. But you're going to have to get beyond them because there's the hedgerow that Fidzbit described on the other side and these lanterns above it.
Okay. So in order to get a better idea of the layout of this place, we'll have to sneak between these currently, is what you're saying?
Yep. Well, that's why I had you make a stealth roll already.
Okay.
I just needed to know how you were going to use it. So if you're trying to sneak between, you go midpoint between the two things where it's dim lighting rather than bright lighting.
Actually, in order to help himself a little bit, he will find... Is there any damp ground in the area?
It's early night, so we don't have the morning dew, but we can find something.
Either way, he will try to remove a patch of grass and dig up some of the dirt, and he's going to cover this is something he did meticulously in the war, and he takes his time to do it. Is he covers every bit of his metallic body with mud and dirt to make it so it doesn't shine in the dark.
Excellent. Quite a bit later, you are covered in it. Your cloak is not. Right? You're not covering your entire cloak, but you can't help get some on it.
Yeah, it's blended a little bit, but not as much as the metal is.
Right. Yep. So you got yourself, you feel very well covered. You spend it takes quite a bit of time to cover all yourself doing all that, but yeah, you dig a good sized hole in the meantime, having stripped up and thrown most of the grass back down as best you can, trying to get rid of the glints. And knowing as you're putting your hand up there, you're trying to cover your gulra as best you can. Okay, you feel that you've done pretty well at doing it. Again, you're doing it in the dark, and it's not like you have a mirror, but you've done this for long enough that you feel very confident about it. And now you make your stealth roll. You're going to move in between through this. You come out on the other side of the hedge, and you realize what you're looking at is a long, open, grassy area, and you can see the hedge on the far side. This would almost be like, instead of a fence made of wood, a fence made of bushes. At the top of the bushes are the Everlight lanterns. Running around inside, you see two small dinosaurs in the distance. Judging by distance, which you're really, really good at as a ranger out there in the wild, you feel they're probably about 200 yards off. To your right, you see rows of Everlight lanterns leading up to what looks like a house, except the house has green sides. They've built the banks up to it. You can tell it's a house, yet you can also tell artificially how they've made it to look as if it was in the middle of the plains. There are massive tusks, at least 8 foot tall, sticking out of the ground on both sides of the path leading up to it. And there are people moving about. This is where I need you to make your wisdom perception roll to see what we discover.
All right, we've been doing really bad at these tonight, so
better.
Cross your fingers. It's okay.
14. All
14.
Right.
It's fine.
Better than our history.
we're moving upward slowly.
Well, you're used to, of course, from a perspective of war, you see all the way up at the door that there's only one guard in place. That makes it really nice and easy if you wanted to take him out. The guard appears to be talking with people, and he does have a dog at his side. So the dog, now the guard is a halfling guard, so the dog actually stands taller than the guard himself. Now, on that lawn that I described over near the house, there's numerous tables and chairs, and one of the things that you notice is they're not all halfling sized. So clearly they expect visitors of taller races and whatnot.
Okay.
Now, as you stand watching from the shadows, trying to blend in and remain dark, you do see somebody walk up, and the guard actually stops them and checks what they're doing. It appears to be some sort of ticket and whatnot. And this individual is just carrying a package. You notice it's a piece of paper they show him, so it could be an invoice, could be something that it gives them permission to be there. And you're noticing other individuals walking around. You hadn't noticed them at first, but they're actually over near the hedge on the other side. So clearly the perimeter where you're standing is marshed by guards going around. You also see 2 other guards go in through a side door of the house.
Okay. So in order to approach this, do I have to get past the dinosaurs, or is there a way for me to skirt around the
Currently,
dinosaurs?
the dinosaurs are playing at the far end. You're
Mhm.
about halfway between them and the actual house itself. The trick would be getting past all the lanterns, and it's a lit path all the way up there. Now, the side door where you saw individuals going in and out of as well is not quite as lit. However, there are lanterns there at the door because that's how you saw the individuals in the night.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So the house
And is that
itself
the-
is incredibly well lit.
Okay. So are these the only entrances that I see then?
From where you're at, yeah. You'd have to
Okay.
start walking around and making other stealth things.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be the next thing I want to get every angle of this place to see
Okay.
other options.
We're going to make a stealth roll to try and get back along this hedge towards the back.
Okay. I don't have a lot of plot points left, so wish me luck.
Good
I've
luck.
got 2 if you need them. You can have the 2.
You're
Are
going
you
to be
sure?
making more
Yeah.
stealth rolls. This is just the first one.
Gotcha.
I also
Okay.
Have the
like
2.
5
You
plot
can be
points, so.
15.
Yeah, let's go with the 15. I'll go with that.
Okay. You move on back, and you get back to where you're actually looking at the doorway in, and you realize that this door has another smaller guard. This one does not have a dog with him, but you clearly see as the 2 individuals come out, the halfling talking to this tall individual who appears to be, you think, an elf. The interesting thing is that he's not dressed like high elves, not nice finery. The clothes that he's wearing match the halfling guards. So you're wondering if possibly he is a employee of the Boromar clan. You can make another stealth roll to get around the back, or you can try and do something here. What would you like to do?
Do I see into any rooms that look like they contain valuable things? As much as I can discern value.
Too far away, distant. You're not up at the house. You're still, I imagined you're staying in the bushes. That's
Yeah,
lower
yeah.
in DC for camouflage and stuff. If
Right,
you would
right.
like to leave the bushes and sneak up closer to the house, you can absolutely try. You're smart enough to know the chances of being seen are much higher the closer you get to these
Yeah,
light
absolutely.
lanterns.
Yeah, let's go ahead and circle around to the back then. One more roll.
Yep, make another stealth roll to get behind this place.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'll spend my own plot points this time. I'll put all 3 remaining plot points that I have to make that another 15.
And it's a good thing you do. You get around the back, and some of the things that you
dice are
notice
killing me.
is you are a set of urchins who are standing there in the bushes, and you almost bump into them. You stop just shy, and you hear them talking. They have no idea you're there and
Mhm.
whatnot. And as these 2 individuals are talking, they're like, how much food do you think they're going to have in there? I don't know, but they should be able to keep it all for themselves. You know what? We can sneak in later tonight. I'm telling you, they'll have all the food prepared for tomorrow in advance. We can at least get out one of the lambs, a leg. He goes, we can do that. You know, and as they're starting to talk more and more, you realize they're talking about trying to get into the house and steal some food.
What are these urchins, like, species-wise?
Halflings.
They're also halflings?
Mhm.
So, just based on that conversation, I'm trying to figure out how he would handle this exactly. And player Seth knows that maybe some not frightening way to approach them would be best. But NorthWatch doesn't quite understand that. So he'll slowly lift up from behind the bushes and he'll say, "Excuse me."
You're pretty sure that one halfling just jumped up like a foot off the ground and
He jumped up
stumbled
to your
out
height
into the
back
light and
down.
whatnot. And the girl actually looks at you and goes, like, stops breathing for a second. And then she goes, "Who are you?
He
We
holds up
weren't doing anything here. We weren't doing anything at all."
He holds up a hand and he explains, I'm sorry. I was just observing the area and happened to stumble upon you, and I overheard your conversation. I am no friend of the Boromir.
As they run closer, they're like, Bert, you see him? He's a Warforged. And he goes, shut up, Kemper. And it's the girl is Kemper, the boy is Bert. And he goes, Bert looks at you and says, he goes, friend of the Boromir, what? Wait, what about the Boromir? And the little boy looks confused for a moment. His sister goes, shut up, stupid. He's talking.
My friends and I were trying to obtain something from the Boromir, but we're not familiar with any ways to sneak in. Are you aware of a way to sneak into this building?
Bert's like, no, we don't sneak in. And Kemper's like, yeah, we were going to go in through the top.
The top, you say?
And Bert's like, stupid, shut up. He goes, it wouldn't fit you anyway. It's just right up there. And she points, she goes, we were looking at it from the back here. She goes, it's one of the smoke holes. But she goes, they're always big enough for one of us to get down. All you got to do is hold your breath and slide down it.
How familiar are you with the inside of this building?
She goes, well, it's pretty easy. We've talked to some of the servants and whatnot. And Bert's like, he goes, we're not familiar with it at all. We don't know anything about it.
He'll look at Bert and say, your conflicting information is very confusing to me.
He goes, that's because we don't know anything. And Kemper's like, yes, we do. We've talked to people.
Do I need to make an insight check to try and find out who's telling the truth and who isn't?
You can. You can absolutely try. Sure.
I'll try. 19?
Yeah.
Hey!
It seems like Bert's trying to hide something and, doesn't want to get caught. And Kemper, on the other hand, is just like, yeah, she's pretty excited to be talking to you about this and whatnot.
Okay. Largely ignoring Bert going forward, he'll look directly at Kemper and say, Kemper, is that your name?
He's like, yeah.
My name is NorthWatch. From
You have a
Aungir.
name?
I have many names. That is the most common.
She's like, that's so cool.
Currently, what we're trying to do is we're trying to help the city watch. Would you like to help the watch?
Bert's like, no. Kemper's like, yeah.
The
He's
Boromir.
like, stop it. You're going to get us in trouble. She's like, no, this is cool. We're going to work for the watch.
The Boromir are in possession of a scroll that they stole from House Orion. If you might know where they keep such a thing, I believe you could be rewarded. I think the watch rewards people for good service. So if you could obtain that scroll, that would be very helpful.
Bert's like, how are we going to obtain it? How would we know where they would have something like that? Kemper's like, I can do it.
And
Afraid they're gonna get hurt.
oh, that sounds like a plan to me. How could I find you again?
Well, Kemper's like, we could go with you. And Bert's like, we don't have a house. We
Oh,
live on the street. He goes, I'm not telling you where we live. Kemper's like, no, we can just go with you. It's okay.
that sounds fine. I'm sure my friends would like to help accommodate you. We're staying in a place down in Dura.
Bert starts not yelling, but like smacking his sister harder and saying, no, we're not going. And Kemper finally starts listening to him. When he smacks her upside the head at one point, really getting kind of hard. He's like, you're not going anywhere with me. You're not going down to Dura. We don't know that down there. They're rough down there. It's too close to the cogs.
NorthWatch thinks back to the interactions that he witnessed earlier today, and he goes, wait. And he reaches down into his pack, and he pulls out a single gold coin, and he goes, would this help? Do you want this as in exchange for your services?
both
I don't have
hands
hair,
shoot out
but...
to grab it. I want to see which one of them's faster. And Bert is the faster of the two, snatching it before Kemper could get it. And he's like, yeah, what do you need us to do? He goes, I don't know where they keep the stuff. And Kemper's like, that was mine.
I don't
like,
have any
ours.
hair.
We'll share.
I don't have any hair, but I know 2 people who do.
And Kemper's like, well, do you need hair? Because I can sell you some of mine.
Oh, no. I believe I am supposed to offer you goods in exchange for your services. Is that not how this works?
Kemper's really confused. She goes, I thought you wanted hair. And Bert's like, yeah, that's right. Yeah. You offer us stuff, and then we give you stuff.
Perhaps my companions can explain this better. How about you follow me?
And Kemper's like, okay. And he's like, no, I don't want to go down the door. He goes, you're going to get abducted. You're going to end up Minotaur food. I've told you before, we don't go down near the cogs.
You'll be safe in my watch.
She goes, see? With the watch. He already told you, we're going to be working for the watch. And Bert's like, you're a fool. You're going to get locked up. She sits there and argues with him a little bit. And Bert's ended up like, no, I'm older. I'm telling you, we're not going. No. You're running into a wall with poor Bert, the older brother, who seems to be more nervous about them getting abducted or going with you. And it's not even the fact that you're a stranger. You realize as street urchins, he's just grown wary, not wanting to tell you where he lives and not wanting them to go off and get abducted anywhere.
No, I know how to solve this. He pulls out a second gold coin.
Kemper has advantage on the roll. And Bert is freaking fast. Literally, they have both their hands on yours, and yet Bert is just that little bit. He's a little bit stronger. And he snatches out of your hand, and he's like, "Okay, what's this for?"
Follow me.
Make a persuasion roll with advantage.
Oh, that's a tough one.
Like, I already told you, I'm not going. And Kemper's like, he just paid us to go with him, and he's like, no, he paid us because he wants something. I just don't know what, and I'm not going anywhere with him.
There's a reason why this character is not the face of the party.
That's Lythandr's job, and we left Lythandr behiing. Iounia, what's your job? I think it was Barry's job, actually, wasn't it?
It was Barry's job initially, yes.
Barry, we miss you.
So it seems that Kemper's a little bit more into it, right?
Oh,
She's a little...
okay. You've got her sold.
Mm-hmm.
You could try and abduct her if you want.
I'm not going to abduct her. No. No, NorthWatch will instead look at her and say, it appears that your brother here is not interested in going, but perhaps if you follow me.
She's like, you can see that she's willing to, but Bert grabs the back of her thing and is like, no. And he is a little bit bigger than her, where she's about probably 2'5". He's probably about 2'8". He's got her by a few inches.
Well,
looking down on them, they look to be the same height, dressed down.
Yeah. They look roughly halfling sized to me. Yeah, he'll go, well, if you won't follow me, then I'm afraid that I'll have to ask for my gold back because your services were not provided.
Make a Are you actually going to be taking it back? Try to take it back from them?
Well, he's innocently asking for it back because, as far as he understands, if goods are exchanged, services are supposed to be provided, and a service was not provided. So,
okay, then we'll leave it at just persuasion then.
Okay, can I do another persuasion roll?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, not good.
Better than last time?
Better than last time. Again, that's a raw 13 because I get no bonuses here.
Roll 20 doesn't look.
And a roll of 13 is more than high enough when he realizes giving up 2 gold to just go with you. He's like, fine. And he's like, Kemper, you just don't leave my side. And he goes, I'm warning you though, I have a knife. And I'm not taking anything. I don't care how big you are.
You don't have to worry about me, but you also don't have to worry about anybody else. That is my guarantee.
Kemper's like, see, I told you, he's going to protect us. We're going to be working for the Watch. He's like, I'll believe it when I see it. So they go with you. Where are you headed?
Back to the inn, where Iounia and Lythandr are.
Cost you 15 copper, one for each of you. You have to pay for all three. He doesn't offer to pay from his gold.
Of course.
You know. And you end up coming back. It's a couple hours later because he did all this stealthy stuff, moving around slowly, covering himself before this mud-covered Warforged comes back in. He's mud-covered, and he's got two children, like, up to a little over his kneecaps, walking in with him.
During those few hours, can Lythandr look at this other thing that he got from
right.
his bit?
Yep. Yeah, this will be important because I don't know what he's walking into. Lythandr opens it up, and I don't think you read Halfling, do you?
No. I mean,
the names are easy enough to tell because, again, you know, the script is common. You don't understand the words in Halfling at the top, but you realize it's a list of names, and they're all Halfling-styled names. I take that back. They're not all Halfling-styled names. Some of them are human and elven as well. And there are locations listed near each.
Huh.
You might be able to find somebody who speaks Halfling to understand what the top says.
I might have to kill them.
Oh, actually, part of it you wouldn't have to. No. Because Fitzbit had mentioned where you were going, and I said he specifically described the name of it. And you realize two things. Written in common at the top, of course, are a date, which is tomorrow night. And you recognize, even though you can't understand the Halfling words and whatnot, you understand part of it is the name of the manor house. And then there's this list of names, and the date is tomorrow night.
Could this be an invitation?
With multiple names, it seems doubtful.
Sad. Could
It's
have
a
gotten
group
the
invitation.
easy way in. Okay.
All right. Does Iounia want to do anything before NorthWatch gets back a couple hours later?
No, she's chilling.
Okay.
Like a villain.
So yeah, as he described, a very mud-covered Warforged comes in with two halflings in tow.
Did you fall?
You were checking out terrain. Did you literally just like roll in the terrain?
I am terrain.
No, I manually applied it.
NorthWatch.
I manually applied it using my hands.
Ah, yes. And
on purpose.
Ah, yes. These are Bert and Kemper.
Children.
Indeed.
hi, nice to meet you guys.
You can call me Uncle Lythandr. It's great to meet you both.
Is Cavill here?
Cable is here,
Cable.
yes. Yep.
Okay. NorthWatch will look at Cable and explain. Bert insists that he does not. However, Kemper insists that she knows a way into the Boromar clan's house, stealthily, and that she might be able to obtain the scroll.
Kemper's already like enamored. She goes, and she tells Cable, she goes, so now that I'm working for you, do I get paid by you or by him? And Cable's like, what are you talking about? You start describing exactly what you're looking for, and of course, Bert's like, no, hey, he said that we were gonna get paid, that we had to come with him because we're gonna like get in there. Are you gonna bring a bunch of watch to go in there? You're gonna arrest all the Boromar? And Cable's really confused, like, what did you tell them?
I was under the impression that there is a reward for the services.
And Cable's like, I thought that we were trying to get back the scroll because it would get us in good with how you're perceived here in Sharn and whatnot. You know, with
Does
both,
that not
my
involve
boss.
a reward of some kind?
And of course, the kids are like, "Scroll? Is that what you were asking us to get before? Up top? Wow, we're gonna sneak in and get a scroll." And Bert's like, "No, we're not."
We can make sure there's a reward. That's fine. But you obviously wouldn't get a reward until after we get the scroll. The scroll is very important.
Right. Goods in exchange for services.
And Kemper's like, "Well, we were just going to go in and get food. We were just going to sneak in through the top and whatnot. But now we got to get a scroll too." And
do you know
like,
where they might keep something like that?
What's that?
Do you know where they might keep something like that?
They're like, "We've never been inside before. We just figured where the kitchen was by the smoke holes in the back and whatnot." And so their plan was to sneak into the kitchen and get food, you quickly discern. And that they, filling in some of the details, NorthWatch encountered them and thought that they might be helpful in getting inside. Now, Lythandr, on the other hand, who's sitting there listening to all this, understands that, well, judging by their side, they're a little small, but a smoke hole seems as good a way as any to get inside. And, you know, if they know of a way to get inside, he might be able to use it.
Okay.
Now, of course, Lythandr also knows he's looking at halfling script, and he has two little halflings sitting here.
All right. Crouch down in front of both of them. Which of you said that you wanted to help us?
Kemper's like, "That's me!" And Bert smashed down her hand. He goes, we're getting paid by the watch."
Up top.
Kemper, like, tries to jump up and smack your hand, but,
I bent down.
I know you did, but you put your arm up. So she jumps up to try and smack your arm up in the air.
Let's hope she doesn't hit me in the face.
All right, we'll roll. No, she's good. She hit your head.
All right. Could you do me a huge favor? You know how to read halfling?
Kemper's like, "Yes." Bert's like, "No."
What is this? One door always tells the truth, the other always lies?
And Bert's like, "We don't lie." Kemper's like, "He lies all the time."
I'm taking that as a yes.
My observation is that Bert has a tendency to speak words that are not true.
Ah, yes.
Understood. Thank you, NorthWatch.
Up top, NorthWatch.
He'll slowly put his hand up to touch her hand. There's a little bit of dirt on it still.
Oh, God.
Fine, Lindsay.
If you could do me a huge favor, you know how to write common?
Kemper's like, "Well, I learned how to read a lot of halfling because my brother doesn't want me going out other places." She goes, "But yeah, I can speak common good. I know most of the words." And Kemper's like, Bert's like, "I know all the words. What do you need to know? What do you need me to write?"
I'm not concerned with you. What was your name? Birdsby? Something like that? I go away. All right, Kemper.
"My name is Bertus."
It's Bert. Be nice, Lythandr.
I'm being kind. I just forgot his name. Now, Kemper, I would love it if you took this piece of paper and if you could read it and transcribe what it says on the other side. And I'll pull out a quill for her.
Kemper uses your quill, uses it with dipping the ink and whatnot, and you realize very quickly she's made you an exact copy and has no idea what the word transcribe means. As she hands you back an exact copy of what was on the other piece of paper. And she's very proud of it.
But did she write it in common like I asked?
No, she copied it exactly because she didn't understand the word transcribe.
Okay. Thank you. I'll hand her a silver.
She doesn't understand.
I'll hand her a silver. Thank you. Could you do that in common?
She's like, Bert tried to snatch it, but she put the silver away before he could. He just kind of grumbles about it. She goes, "Oh, you want it written in common?" She goes at it again, uses it at the bottom, and gives you a translation. And now, of course, you two are all watching this. Now you see there's this list of names and whatnot. Do either of you speak Halfling?
No.
Seth?
No.
Are you? No. Okay.
No.
You realize that this is not a secret language or anything like that. It's just something unique to them. And as they use this, she transcribes it over, and what she translates is actually list of individuals known to be invited where they're at who have invitations. So it appears that Fitzbit was looking for something similar to you guys, looking for invitations that he could possibly get a hold of in a pinch. And you realize somebody who buys and sells things, oh yeah, it would probably behoove him to be able to have invitations to know where to get them for high-risk trading later on. What you've come across was his to-hit list.
Lovely. Thank you, and I will ask her to hold out her hand.
She holds out her hand, and Bert puts his right over hers, and
NorthWatch,
back and forth.
Actually, having observed this behavior a few times, NorthWatch is actually going to grab Bert's arm before he can reach out.
So he gets his hand on top, they go back and forth, and Seth, NorthWatch, goes down with this massive hand and just goes right over poor kids. He's like, "Hey, what are you doing?"
I'm gonna put the silver in the palm of her hand.
She closes
I think it's her turn to receive some coin.
Thank you very much.
I watch our money for us. She'll lose it.
Well, it's her money to lose.
You don't understand anything about living on the street.
I know quite a fair bit, thank you.
That is accurate. I only know how to live in the forest, honestly.
He's totally confused. He goes,
I know that living on the street isn't about trying to take stuff from your family.
You two live on the street?
Oh, dear.
And all of a sudden, Bert's like, yes. And you see him go, and his eyes get really big. He goes, and it's lonely and cold out here, and we're hungry most of the time, as he immediately slips into his shtick. He goes, and we haven't eaten in days.
I pull out 2 rations for them.
Oh, they got you.
So do I.
Well, they got them both. My dad is just sitting there shaking his head like, I'm clearly the only one with a common lick of sense. They have money. They can go buy some food.
They accept the rations from Iounia and Arya, and also from from NorthWatch, not knowing any differently, as they take these and they're like, okay, this is good. And Bert, you see him nudge Kemper a little bit. She goes, food's good, but a place to sleep is really good too, and that costs money, unfortunately.
What happened to your guys' parents?
They're like, we've been out here the whole time. I don't know. We had some people that used to watch us and take care of us. She says, yeah, but they're gone now. The watch took them away. And then they look over at Caveville and whatnot. But not him. It wasn't him. We don't know him. And Caveville's like, looking at them, totally like, yeah, this is so not true and whatnot. He goes, really? He goes, the watch took them away, and they're like, yeah, somebody paid them money, and ooh, and he goes, it happens. He goes, and he tells you, he goes, some of the watches I mentioned are, shall we say, more susceptible to bribes, and when they want to get rid of certain people who are less than savory, they will move them forcibly to other parts of Sharn.
That doesn't seem legal.
People have a right to their privacy. People have a right to have what they pay for kept at certain standards. So trespassing is looked on somewhat harshly if you can get a guard's attention. And you realize some of the corruption that exists in Sharn, where individuals can be bought, individuals can be sold, and why Skyway is so clean, and why Yek lived down in Lower Dura, a place where you can barely close the doors, places where the Blue Ost and the Boromar clan lead things by the tip of a sword. And that's where we'll leave it for tonight. You guys can pick up, figure out exactly how you're going to break in, how you're going to use these poor 2 little halfling children to your advantage, whether or not Lythandr will go after hidden invitations to make your own or choose to sneak in instead, and where Iounia, who will take care of little children, might adopt 2 little Wayfarer children in Sharn as her very own, retiring to become a mom to these strangers. I want to thank you all for watching with us tonight. It's been an absolute blast. Thank you very much, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week when we're going to try to make some more amazing adventures, having a really good time as we celebrate our friendship at this virtual table together. Bye. Oop,
Bye.
That way.
Bye,
There's the
everybody.
camera. And if I can find my mouse, we'll actually say goodbye. But my mouse is not working.
Uh-oh.
And I don't have a touch screen.
Hey, it wouldn't be a stream of ours if there wasn't one technical problem, right?
You know.
Before you
Oh,
move it.
you know what? This isn't the mouse for this computer. It's the mouse for that computer.
Oh,
Oh, look, I got my mouse back. Isn't that something? Oh my gosh, that's too funny.
Other than the rules.
Good night, all. It's been an absolute blast. Thank you again.